business. Chris, good morning.
Russell, good morning. Thanks. The president calls the nearly 2,000-page bill the toughest in our history. Hundreds of new regulations possible for mortgages, debit cards, credit cards, and payday loans. Plus, a new Consumer Protection Bureau could be created. Wall Street might face some new rules, too, but not as many as some had wanted, and there are some noteworthy omissions. Tampa Representative Castor is joining us now live from Washington, where the House is preparing to vote on what's now known as the Dodd-Frank bill. Congresswoman, good morning. I gather you'll be voting yes on this bill.
You bet. It's vitally important that we pass new reforms for Wall Street, and that, frankly, this is one of the few times I have seen here in Washington where middle-class families and consumers win and the big Wall Street banks lose.
Representative Frank recently said that he figured this was going to be tougher than anyone expected, but then he also conceded that to get votes in the Senate, the 60 votes that are necessary in the Senate, it was, quote, diluted some. Does this bill have everything in it that you would like to see?
Actually, the bill grew stronger over time after the Goldman Sachs prosecution was announced by the SEC. But what this does, it's going to help build confidence. It's going to put more cops back on the street, on Wall Street, and institute important new consumer protections so that consumers have clear understanding of credit cards, debit cards, and mortgages, and for the state of Florida, new regulations related to mortgages so that we ensure when a bank or mortgage broker is peddling a mortgage, that person has the ability to pay that mortgage.
Mortgages were the cause of the meltdown that we're dealing with right now. A lot of exotic mortgages. It's unbelievable that you would use the term exotic to describe a mortgage, but that's what was happening a couple of years ago. Do you think that with this bill, if it passes and is signed into law, would it prevent another financial meltdown?
That is the intent, to prevent any other meltdowns or bailouts, and that the past decade was really built on a house of cards. This new regulation for Wall Street is intended to provide a stronger foundation for economic growth and outlaw those risky practices that the Wall Street banks and others in the mortgage fly-by-night business were peddling to consumers.
And with the exception of buying a home and getting a mortgage, the largest purchase a family makes is that of a vehicle, to get to and from school, to get to and from work. And yet, Representative, auto dealers were somehow able to weasel out of this. Why is that? How did that happen? And can you address it?
Well, early on, it was considered, were the auto dealers the root cause of the financial meltdown. And I think at the end of the day, folks realized it wasn't really the auto dealers and auto loans that caused the economic collapse. It was the risky practices of these Wall Street banks, these crazy things called derivatives that are simply bets that are hidden from consumers. They will now be placed on a transparent exchange. More cops on the beat for Wall Street, important consumer protections, and a new foundation so folks have confidence and the economy can continue to grow.
Representative Castor from Tampa, a Democrat. She'll be voting yes this week on the financial reform that is set to go through the House and the Senate, and then the President is expecting to sign later in this week, perhaps by the 4th of July. Representative, thank you for joining us this morning on Good Day.
Thank you, Chris.
Take care. Russell and Ann, now back to you.